I love the light that is out here in our living room from about, between 9 and 10 in the morning until really about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. About 3 o'clock this time of year. But we get full light the length of the house. And I just love the brightness of this room. Because of the small space we live in, I don't have like a place I go where I have like a desk or something that I can use that's dedicated to that. The hubs really wants a roll-top desk and a fixed computer again, but we haven't been able to figure out where the heck we'd put it, so that might not happen. So the desk is actually our dining room table, which I'm pretty good about cleaning off when I'm not using it so that it looks like a dining room table instead of my collection of junk when I'm not at it. Yeah, that thing there is the centerpiece to the table, so it gets pulled over to the middle when I'm not using this for an office. But I wanted to capture the feeling of the light in this room because I can curl up on that couch and read for hours in that light. I don't know if you can see him from this angle or not. I think I showed him in a vlog yesterday, but that's Mr. Bogey's spot in the world, hanging out on that in that window, just watching the world go by. Well, and because he's a min pin, generally barking at the world as it goes by, too. When we bought this house, this is an add-on porch. When I get back over here on this wall, that's actually the wall of the actual house and the mobile home. And then this was added on. And when we moved here, it was a room for summertime, springtime only. It actually had jalousied windows, which were old, and the sea air really pits and destroys galvanized aluminum. So Roger was constantly having to work on the oiling them and fixing the hinges and replacing the handles to get them to work. One of the first things we did when we moved here full time was put real windows, and they're insulated windows, in the length of the room. And you'll see as I pan around, that's the neighbor. When you're looking at our house, that's the neighbor to the left of us. There's about 20 or 25 feet between the houses here. I said we're a manufactured home community, either mobile homes or double-wide manufactured homes. And there's light that comes in from behind, but not so much because that's our back porch and our shed blocks the light off from back there. So we put all the windows in, which of course is a big deal because you can imagine that's a lot of windows. But it turned the room into almost a 3-season room. 4-season, I should say. And then what we did is we put the Mitsubishi wall unit, which is a heater and an air conditioner, in. And it became a year-round room. That's why this is considered our living space, our living room out here. And then inside is where the TV is. So I do get, even though we have a small space, this separate space, this porch, kind of makes the environment for me, because I can come out here and close the sliders between this room and the regular house, and it's quiet. So whether I want to listen to music or read or write or do a little journaling like I'm about to do, it works out really great. It works out really great. I got no problem with the fact that the hubs has a TV on most of the day. That's just the way he was raised and the way he is, and it's what he enjoys. But since I don't have the same affection for the TV, this room is kind of, well, it's a little bit of a safe haven for me. Especially this time of day, with the way the light comes through it. I can never get seasonal affective disorder, because if I come out on this porch, I can soak up all the sunshine I want, no matter how cold it is outside. So I'm really terrible at the selfie with the camera thing, because in honesty, holding my hand out long enough to hold the camera hurts like hell. But I'm looking cross-eyed in this too, so I'm obviously not looking at the right place in the camera to focus on. Actually, I'm looking at the screen when I should be looking at the camera. So let's see if that works better. At least maybe I'll look a little less cross-eyed. So, Julie, you asked me, are my eyes blue? Yeah, my eyes are blue. My family heritage is Irish and Dutch, and I inherited the blue eyes that are on my father's side of my family. I was always attracted when I was dating to guys with brown eyes. I think because of everybody in my family is blue-eyed. I'm kind of proud of my blue eyes. That's why I'm willing to share them with you a little bit closer, because they are, I can look into them now and know I'm looking into my grandfather's eyes. And if you've watched some of my past videos, you know how much I loved my pop-pop. So I've inherited the blue eyes from the paternal side of my family. The maternal side has blue eyes too, but they're lighter blue. So yeah, glad to claim the blue heritage in my eyes from my grandfather's Irish family. So I joined our local UU church a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to do a video sometime soon on Unitarian Universalism because some of my friends are familiar with it and some are not. So I'm going to share it because it's a great part of my life, a great part of my joy too. So when you join this particular church, one of the board members wants to get together with you to get to know you, kind of like create a little biography of you, which you then decide of who in the church you'd like to share it with. And they're not going to, invade your privacy with it. So I'm really cool with that. Plus, I'm really comfortable with it because this particular board member was part of the Cakes for the Queen of Heaven class that I took last year this time, actually, where I met 30 amazing women. About half of them are church members. So I thought I'd put the camera on the dashboard. No, I don't drive and hold a camera, never will. I'm real picky about driving and safety. Oh, I was so hoping that I would see some of these while I'm out today to share with you. This is the time of year the snow geese come through here. There are some winters when the entire fields were filled with thousands upon thousands upon thousands of them. I'm very fond of these guys. I've never even seen them until we moved here. At some point I hope to catch for you what they call the lift, which is when an entire field, thousands and thousands, lift at the same time to take off. Can you hear them? I'm on a busy road, so I hope you can hear them. So I thought when we left living in the suburbs that I would never see another Starbucks. Could do without it. But I just had a wonderful meeting with the person from the church who's doing the new member interviews. And I thought I'd leave the camera on for a couple minutes because so many of you talk about how beautiful where we live is. And yes, indeed, it is very beautiful where we live. But we are 15 minutes away from Beach Highway, which even in the off-season, as you can see, is your typical stretch of highway that ain't so pretty and is generally pretty busy too. Although in the summertime I would have waited probably 20 minutes to get out of that parking lot. So I can't complain about it. Don't you love that Asian restaurant there, which is a sushi restaurant, is called Sakatumi. Yeah, if you are as old as I am. you laugh at that reference. So the good thing about coming back to where we live is it's like every turn you make, you leave that kind of hustle and bustle behind, and it'll eventually get to where you're out of that hubbub. We're still impacted by the traffic in the season, even when we're off the main roads here. That's just the price you pay for living in a resort area. And from November to Memorial Day, really the end of May, we don't have to deal with too much in the way of traffic and traffic problems. So it was really interesting sitting down with that delightful woman from my church, and she had this whole list of questions she had to ask, because it's just the questions they have to ask. And she was delightful. I think in the end was an opportunity for us to get to know each other, which was certainly a pleasant experience. So next on the list today is grocery shopping. Okay, so it's definitely one of the things in the square box. I don't mind doing the list and the planning, but yeah, grocery shopping I could do without. This is the car wash list, line. We saw this thing on last night. They brine the roads here when we get snow or ice, and they were talking about how damaging that brine is to your cars. So I guess all those people are getting the brine washed off their cars. We have the choice of a couple of grocery stores within driving distance. And this one's actually not bad. What we have a dearth of here is grocery stores that have any decent produce. They're putting a Whole Foods in up on Beach Highway. And I cannot tell you how excited I am at the thought of that Whole Foods. This is our organic section. Honest to gosh, that is our entire organic section. Welcome to my world. I never care how far I park away from the grocery store, but I always park next to these return carts, because by the time I grocery shop, I'm done with the walking. That is $200 in groceries. More about that in a second. Well, now I feel like one of the cool kids taking a picture of myself while I'm in the car. That's probably the closest to a selfie I've ever done. The grocery store, $200. First thing is I thought, walking the grocery store isn't one of my in-the-box things. I really don't mind doing it when it's not crowded. I do mind, however, paying for it. That $200 is about 10 days for us. And here's the thing. We don't get any junk food, although I did buy some popcorn this time. And I bought 2 cookie sheets because I'm making cookies this coming week, and I realized all my cookie sheets are, well, I've been using them to put underneath things, drip catchers in the oven, so they're not fit for anything. So I think I paid $12 for 2 cookie sheets. So if you take the $12 over the $200, you're still getting almost $190 for groceries. You know, it really is ridiculous, isn't it? I had a moment in the dairy aisle because I was looking for yogurt. The Hubs eats yogurt in the morning, and that's a good thing, so I'm not knocking that. But have you noticed how tiny most brands of yogurt are getting? at the same price. So that racked up the groceries a bit right there. The other thing is, not everybody loves Greek yogurt. We don't get much variety out here. These are country people and their palates are pretty simple. Is that putting it nice? And I noticed that there are only a couple of brands of real yogurt, like yogurt. That's not fair. Greek yogurt's probably more real yogurt. And I love Greek yogurt. I got some from myself, but the Hubs doesn't like it. And it's getting difficult to find yogurt that's not sugar-free and has a container that has more than a couple of tablespoons of yogurt in it. So I'm already muttering about that in the grocery aisle. And then I go over, I needed butter for cookies. When did people stop eating butter? Now, we eat butter, but it's softened butter. So I needed actual butter sticks. Do you know there were only 2 options for butter in our grocery store? The rest of it was like, so there was some butter, oil, olive oil blends, which is what I normally use when not baking. And everything else was whatever the heck replaced butter. So some margarines and then a bunch of other stuff that I don't even know what it was. That was interesting. And then I went to get cornflakes for, again, a recipe this week. It's a peanut butter bar kind of thing. All I needed was plain cornflakes. And of course, I don't deal with the cereal aisle ever now. I get oatmeal, but I don't ever get cold cereal anymore. To us, that's junk food. And so you get lost in that when you haven't been down that aisle in a while. And eventually I found one option for plain old cornflakes. So that didn't have things added and didn't have frosting, etc., etc. Oh, the world's changing. Sometimes it's not about the money, although I guess that freaks me out a little bit. But I do have $200 a week in our budget, and that includes if we decide to go out to dinner. So I didn't blow the budget this week because I'll make out fine for that. But I'm aware of the fact that it's only going to get worse from here, and fixed income. My income's not going to change. So you think about things like that. And the other thing I've got to get off my chest, this could be the last part of my vlogging for the day. I've had some comments on my videos that I took off. And I saw something today that irritated the shit out of me because it was the same kind of thing, only it happened to somebody that I love, and I know a lot of you love too. I saw somebody leave a comment on Jackie's Facebook page about what she chooses to make for breakfast. It might have even been one of you that did it. And please understand that I try not to judge folks who feel the need to judge. But I gotta tell you, I instantaneously felt such a burst of anger. I was so pissed off. This person could be somebody that Jackie loves dearly, and she welcomes their constructive criticism. But I've had a couple comments on my vlogs that I actually took off and blocked people. We're all smart enough to tell the difference in the tone when someone leaves a comment, and I love the fact that my vlogs get a lot of comments and I get to end up in conversation with all of you. I absolutely love that. But there's a difference between asking a question about something in my vlogs and attacking me over something. Somebody saw, for instance, that I had paper towels on the counter in my kitchen. Now, you don't know how often I use a paper towel, how often I buy it. I admit I used to be somebody who would go through probably paper towels a roll every other day or so. But that's not the circumstance now. But the point is I have no need to justify the fact that there are paper towels on my counter. So I was irritated at that and thought, nah, I'd like to disconnect from that person's energy. Not because of their comment. They could have asked in a nicer way why I choose to use paper towels. I think somebody made a comment also about they saw a sponge on my kitchen counter. Kind of interesting, the things people notice in the background. There's a difference in the way someone might ask you about something that you share and someone who comes across as judging what you choose to share or your lifestyle or any part of what you say or do. So it was interesting that I was mildly irritated at the paper towel challenger who didn't do it nicely. That's why they're now blocked from my channel. And I think I caught that comment actually as it was being made. No accident, we're witches. Things like that happen. So you probably didn't see it. You may have seen the one about the sponge. But then when I saw that comment this morning about Jackie's breakfasts that she makes for Dan, it's amazing how I got so pissed on her behalf. And she might not even be irritated by it. But on my own behalf, I was like, oh, the hell, you're out of here. I'm delete and block you. I don't hesitate to do that on my channel. I never have. You're in my house. Manners or you're gone. But what led me to think about that is I was standing in line at the grocery store and there was a woman in front of me, and I actually talked to her a couple times during the length of the running around the grocery store. Nice woman, and she was buying good choices. And in fact, we started having our discussion in front of that little mini organic section in the grocery store, and I did tell her where she could go. She was new to the area, where she could go if she wants to drive a half an hour to get a much bigger selection. And so she was making good choices in everything she was buying, and then she proceeded to have them put in plastic bags when she left. So the reason I was actually thinking about the way we judge others is I had a moment of judging her. I felt like we'd had some conversations, it seemed like to a point where a kindred spirit, and I saw her with all those plastic bags being loaded up with groceries, and I had a moment. I guess the difference is I would not have blocked myself from my own channel for that moment because I didn't say anything to her, like, what the hell's your problem with the plastic bags? And then when I was putting mine in and when I take the picture of for you of the this is what $200 buys, I got to thinking about the way we do judge others. I mean, even my judgment of that comment that I got so riled on the behalf of Jackie could well have been from a loved one, and Jackie knows where it came from. It may have come from a place of love. We are quick to judge others. But here on my channel, I have never hesitated to delete and block. Not from day one. I have a thick skin and nothing anyone ever says, unless you happen to be a loved one, bothers me. So nothing anybody posts on my channel bothers me, not at a personal level. I could care less if someone's nasty, that's just their problem. I don't react to it. But I do summarily dismiss anyone that in my greater wisdom, which is questionable on a bad day, I determine isn't connected in a positive way. There are my thoughts on that. I'm still irritated about that comment I saw this morning on Jackie's. It wasn't a video, I think it was on Facebook, but people, come on. If any of you is living a perfect life, I'd like you to vlog it for us and prove it to be so. Oh well, but there's also a lesson in that for me about judging others too quickly and being sure that we just don't block somebody because we don't agree with them. Because I certainly had that instantaneous moment of judging that delightful woman in the grocery store who may have left the house forgetting her canvas bags, could have been visiting the area and didn't have them. Could be all kinds of reasons. But yeah, there's little lessons. If it's one little thing in a day's time, it's probably one little lesson and one little lesson too. So now that I'm feeling really one of the cool kids sitting in front of my steering wheel talking to myself, I'm going to get on the road and get back to the house with one last thought for the day, I think, which is I'm taking the box away from grocery shopping. It's not that I mind it, but I think I'm going to add a category after grocery shopping is taking the things out of the car and unloading them into their proper places in the kitchen. I think I'm going to keep a box around that one and separate it from grocery shopping, if I'm being true to myself. Grocery shopping can be a good thing. I smiled at a lot of people today. I was making those eye contact smile kinds of exercises, and I talked with so many nice people in the grocery store, including the woman who was checking me out, who was delightful. Anyway, that's it for the day, my friends, because this one's probably going to be longer than they normally are. But that's how it is, isn't it? Yeah. When you do vlogs, I tend to watch the length of them. Sometimes when you do topic videos, I skip through them unless they particularly capture my attention. But the vlogs seem to be my thing when it comes to being online right now, when it comes to videos. So until tomorrow, I think it's going to rain. I think they said possibility of snowflakes, but it's 50 degrees, so that's not going to happen. So maybe some rain. That'll get rid of these piles of snert. Where you live, do they call snert? The ugly piles of plowed snow that get dirt and stuff in them. That's it for today.